Okay, so we are on the last form of a line, standard form. You should have already learned slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and now point-slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Point-slope form is actually a very important form that you're going to use a lot in other classes like Algebra 2 and so on. So it's really important that you understand and learn point-slope form because it's a very versatile form. Since you only need one point and the slope, it's very easy to plug into and then to turn it into any other form. So now we're going to do standard form, which is the one down here that is circled, ax plus by equals c. And in order for it to be in standard form, they must all be integers, which means we cannot have any fractions or decimals. The other condition to make it standard form is that a should be positive. Now this varies depending on your teacher, the book. Some people require that a is positive, some people don't. It's a good general rule, but not absolutely necessary. The one that is absolutely necessary is that a, b, and c must be integers, no fractions or decimals. So let's look a little bit at how to find intercepts. You should have learned in the past that to find an intercept, you plug in 0. So if you're looking for the x-intercept, you plug in 0 for y. If you're looking for the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. And why is that? Because if you look on a graph, an x-intercept or a y-intercept, let's just say it's right here, is going through the axis. So what makes it an intercept is that it intercepts the axis, and so therefore any point on an axis is going to have a 0. So if it's on the x-axis, this point in particular would be 4, 0. Notice how the y is 0, which is why we plug in 0 for y to find the x-intercept. If it was on this axis, this would be 0, 3. Notice how the x is 0. That's why we plug in 0 for x to find the y-intercept, because that's how we'll get the point that is on the axis. So that's one way to solve it. You can always plug in zeros. You will always get the intercepts like that. The other way is if you're working with standard form, we have certain formulas that you can follow. So if you look at the star, this shows you the formulas for standard form. To find the x-intercept, you do c over a, and that's your x-intercept. To find the y-intercept, you do c over b, and notice how it's always over the one next to what you're looking for. So c over b because it's next to the y and you're looking for y-intercept. C over a because you're looking for x-intercept next to the x. And then the slope formula is negative a over b. So let's actually look at that with a problem. So up here we had this problem here, 3x plus 4y equals 24. So if we do it this way, the x-intercept is c over a. So our c here is 24 over our a, the one next to x, which is 3. So my x-intercept is 8, which is what I got here when I plugged in 0 for y. So I write it as a point, 8, 0. There's my x-intercept. Now I want to find my y-intercept, which is c over b. So again, c is 24. B, which is the one next to y, because I'm looking for the y-intercept, is 4. So my y-intercept is 6. Notice how here it was 6 also when I plugged in 0 for x. So I write it with a 0, 0, 6, because remember that your intercepts are points on the graph. That's why you always want to write them with 0. So let's look at the slope. Slope is negative a over b. So here's the a, 3, negative 3 over b, 4. So my slope is negative 3 over 4, and we know that the symbol for slope is m. So memorize those formulas, because if you're already working in standard form, it'll make it a lot easier for you to solve it. Alright, so let's try a couple. If you look at this first problem, it's 1x plus 1y equals 7. So c over a is 7 over 1, which gives me 7, 0 for my x-intercept. C over b is 7 over 1, which gives me 0, 7 for my y-intercept. And then negative a over b would be negative 1 over b, which is also 1. So my slope is negative 1. Formulas are also here over at the side. So let's look at number 5, because this one's going to give you fractions. If I do c over a for my x-intercept, I get negative 12 over 5. So my point is negative 12 over 5, 0. That's okay. I can have a fraction as a point. The only thing is when I graph it, I'd probably want to change it to a mixed number. And you don't have to change it on paper, just do it in your head. So that way you kind of know where the number is. Because I don't know where 12 over 5 is, but if I change it to a mixed number, which is 2 and 2/5, well, I know that's between 2 and 3. Okay, so my y-intercept would be c over b. So negative 12 over negative 4, which gives me 3. So it's 0, 3. And then my slope is negative a over b. So negative a, which is 5, over b, which is negative 4. This two negatives in the same fraction is going to become a positive 5 over 4 for my slope. So take a second and try numbers 3 and 6. Make sure that you pause the video so that way you don't see the answers too quickly before you're able to finish the problem. Okay, take a second and check your answers. Make sure that you understood how to do these. Alright, so let's look at a graph. So in order to graph, all you really need is 2 points. And since this is already in standard form, I'm going to find my intercepts because that's really all I need is my intercepts. So if I do c over a, negative 10 over negative 5, my x-intercept is 2, 0. And if I do c over b, negative 10 over 1, my y-intercept is 0, negative 10. Now let's say that one of my intercepts was a fraction, and so then I would only have 1 point because I don't really want to graph a fraction. I can, but it'd probably be easier to just find the slope, in which case I would do negative a over b, so negative negative 5, which makes it 5 over 1. And then I can use my slope to find another point. So remember that you're never stuck. If you can find one intercept, at least you can use the slope to find another intercept. And worst case scenario, you can graph a fraction. It's not going to be as accurate because you're kind of estimating where it is on the line, but you can definitely graph a fraction. So now I'm going to graph my intercepts. 2, 0. So that would be, I'm going to go by the, we'll go by 2's with the red line. So we'll say 2 is here. So 2, 0. And then 0, negative 10. So 2, 4. So 2 here, 4, 6, 8, 10. Down here. And then I can connect my points. We'll pretend like that's a straight line. And there's my graph. So all I did here was I found my intercepts. Super easy to graph using standard form because it automatically gives me my 2 points. So take a second and try this graph. See if you can do it on your own. Pause the video so it doesn't continue before you're able to finish. Okay, so here are my intercepts. 12 over negative 3, which is negative 4, 0. 12 over negative 6, which is 0, negative 2. And then I graph those. So negative 4, 0, 2, 4. And 0, negative 2. And then I connect my points and make my line. Okay, so these graphs are special graphs, and you've probably already learned about Hoy and Vux, which are your horizontal and vertical lines. So since I don't have both an x and a y, that's how I automatically know it's going to be either a horizontal or vertical line. So in this one I only have a y, and if I remember Hoy and Vux, with the y it would be Hoy, And what does that mean? Horizontal line. Oops. Zero slope. And y equals equation. Right? Or y equals a number. And what do I have here? But y equals a number. So I know this is going to be a horizontal line. And to graph this is super simple because I just go on the y-axis to the -2. So here's my y-axis. My -2 would be here if I'm looking at the red lines. And I know it's a horizontal line, so I'm just going to make a horizontal line going through it. So with the x equals, now we know it's Vux. So remember, the V is vertical, which means it's a vertical line. The slope is undefined. And it's an x equals equation. So it's x equals a number, x equals 0. So I go to my x-axis, make a point on the 0 on the x-axis. It's a vertical line, so I make a vertical line going through that point. And that's it. Very simple to graph horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, write the following equations in standard form. So remember I told you in order for it to be standard form, I can't have any fractions, and the a should be positive. But most importantly, it has to be in the right format, and standard form is ax plus by equals c. So I'm going to, first I have to get rid of this fraction, right? So I'm going to distribute y minus 4 equals -7 over 2x minus, if I multiply -7 over 2 times 4 over 1, these will cancel, and I end up with -14. So it's going to equal -14. I mean, we're subtracting minus 14. Okay, so now we have to get the x and the y together, but I have a fraction. So I could move over the x first, bring all the numbers together. So we could do that. So let's bring over the x. So it's on this side. So now I have 7 over 2x plus y minus 4 equals -14. And I did plus y because it's a positive y. Add the 4 over to the other side. So I have 7 over 2x plus y equals -10. But I still have a fraction. So now I have to multiply everything by 2 to get rid of that fraction. So this is going to cancel, and that leaves me with 7x plus 2y equals -20. So now my answer is in standard form. Take a second and try the next problem, put it into standard form. Okay, take a second and check your answer. If you need to pause, go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's look at this word problem. Whenever you're looking for a word problem, you want to break it down and see what you're looking for. So the first thing we're going to do is find our let statement. So it says, in a video game you earn points for the matches of jewels and triangles you make. What are the 3 possible combinations of jewels and triangles you can find? So since this is a linear problem, I have an x and a y. So I have 2 let statements. Let x equal possible combinations of jewels, and let y equal possible combinations of triangles. So I know that usually these are going to be in standard form. So let's see. You earn 5 points for each jewel match and 2 points for each triangle match. 5x plus 2y. Write and graph an equation that represents the number of jewels and triangle matches you must make in order to earn 250 points. So if you break it down, you'll be able to see what goes with what. We know the 2 goes with the triangles and the 5 goes with the jewels, and it's easy for us to make our standard form equation.